Welcome to the class, children. We have completed chapter 5 in genetics, and now the next part of the genetics today we will study. This is molecular basis of inheritance. So first we shall discuss the syllabus here. In the syllabus, search for genetic material and DNA is genetic material. Out of them, this search for genetic material is eliminated. It is reduced in this year. Structure of DNA and RNA, DNA packaging, DNA replication, central dogma, transcription, genetic code, translation, gene expression and regulation, Lac-Operon, human, and Rice Genome Project. Here Rice Genome Project is not in the syllabus this year, only Human Genome Project and DNA fingerprinting. So we will start first as the DNA as the genetic material. So students, you have studied in the previous chapter also that the characters of a species, they are transmitted without much change from one generation to another, and the inheritance pattern of the characters indicates that their expression is controlled by genes, and these genes are located on the chromosomes and constitute the total genomic makeup of the organism, that we call it as a genotype. So which of the structure is responsible to transfer the information, which stores the information? These are the genes which are present on the chromosomes. So the material which contains the genetic information is known as the genetic material. It provides information for the formation of all characters of the body of an individual and also carries this information to the subsequent generations. So this is genetic material. Now we'll see the important features of the genetic material. Genetic material or gene is present in every cell, every living cell, at least at some stages of the cell cycle. It stores and expresses genetic information. That is, it provides information for the development of all body characters. Its amount is fixed in all somatic cells of an individual. Genetic material can duplicate itself. It can make its similar copies, that we call it as replica. Genetic material has ability to undergo mutations. We have studied already mutation in the previous chapter. So it has the ability to undergo mutations and recombinations to produce genetic variation. So this is the genetic material which contains the genetic information. Now we'll study the DNA as the genetic material, because here we will study both the nucleic acids DNA and RNA, but first we will study DNA. So DNA is the genetic material. The deoxyribonucleic acid is the DNA. So DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a polymer of deoxyribonucleotides. It is the main genetic material in all organisms except a few viruses. In 11th you have studied viruses, the two types of viruses on the basis of genetic material, RNA viruses and DNA viruses. DNA is highly stable molecule and is the only molecule that has capability of self-replication, means making its own copies. Amount of DNA in a cell is always constant, highly constant. Along with here that DNA and histone protein, chromatin material is formed, means chromatin material has DNA along with the histone protein. Now the amount of this chromatin is fixed. So this amount of chromatin is fixed for a cell and it is known as the C value. Chromatin can be distinguished from non-chromatin also by the fusion reaction. This reaction is specific for DNA and consequently for chromatin. One more that important feature of the DNA, that it is able to repair itself. So by this we say that the DNA is the genetic material. Now we'll study here the nucleic acid, because DNA is a type of nucleic acid. So what are nucleic acids? They are the macromolecules present in all living cells. Frederick Mischer was the first person who isolated the nucleic acids from the pus cells, and he called it as nuclein. So they are isolated from the nucleus. As it has an acidic nature, hence Altman called it as the nucleic acid. There are two types of nucleic acid found in living organism: deoxyribonucleic acid DNA and ribonucleic acid RNA. So we'll study the deoxyribonucleic acid DNA. As I discussed already here, the DNA is the genetic material of living organisms, carries the coded information from one generation to another generation. So the information is stored in the DNA is in the form of genetic code formed by the particular sequence of the nucleotides. It is a long polymer of deoxyribonucleotides. So its monomer unit is the nucleotide. These deoxyribonucleotides undergo polymerization and form the deoxyribonucleic acid. The length of the DNA depends upon the number of nucleotides pair present in it. In eukaryotic cell, DNA is found in the nucleus and it is the chief component of the chromosome. DNA also found in the mitochondria and chloroplast. You have studied in the 11th. Chemically, DNA is composed of three components are there: deoxyribose sugar, phosphate group and nitrogenous base. So we'll see here deoxyribose sugar, which is present in DNA. It is a pentose sugar, 5 carbon sugar, having the molecular formula C5H10O4. You can see here this is deoxyribose sugar, 5 carbon sugar is there. You can see here that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 carbon. And next component is the phosphate group. The phosphoric acid forms the phosphate group. You can see here this is the phosphate group. Its molecular formula is H3PO4 and it is responsible for the acidic nature of the DNA. Now we'll see the nitrogenous bases. Nitrogenous bases are the nitrogen containing compound and they are mainly divided into two types. What are the two types? These two types are there: purines and pyrimidines. So we'll discuss here that these purines and pyrimidines, what are their types and what are their composition. So what are purines? Purines are double ring heterocyclic structure. So when we see purines, they are double ring heterocyclic structural compound. You can see here the purine. Here the two rings are there in the purine, and this there are two types of purine, adenine and guanine. So understood? What are purines? Double ring heterocyclic compounds. And here next that type we will see here, pyrimidines. Pyrimidines are the single ring structured compounds, and the two types of pyrimidines present in DNA, they are cytosine and the thymine. So we'll see here the two types of pyrimidines. As I said you, single ring is present, while in the purine double ring is there. So single ring is structured. Two types of pyrimidines are there, cytosine and thymine, but one more pyrimidine is there. This is uracil, and this uracil is found in RNA. It is present in RNA. In DNA, cytosine and thymine are present, while in RNA, cytosine and uracil is present here. At the place of thymine, uracil is present in the RNA. So as I am describing here DNA, so this uracil is not mentioned here. So understood? The purine and pyrimidine. Some other features of purine and pyrimidine we can understand with the help of their structure, that purines are 9-membered double ring compounds, pyrimidines are 6-membered single ringed compound. Number of carbon atoms in the purine ring is 5 and number of carbon atom in the pyrimidines is 4. So the number of carbon atoms are different in both of them. And purines, they have large molecular weights, while the pyrimidines, they have relatively low molecular weights. Purines, they have 4 nitrogen atoms at position 1, 3, 7 and 9. So we'll see here in the purine there are 4 nitrogen atoms at the position of the 1, 3, 4, 9. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 nitrogen atoms are there at the 1, 3, 7, 9 positions, while the purines, they have 2 nitrogen atoms at the position 1 and 5, because this will help them to connect with the nitrogenous with the ribose sugar and the phosphate. So now we will see here further the nucleosides. What is nucleoside? The compound formed by the combination of pentose sugar and nitrogenous base is known as the nucleoside. So what is the compound? Pentose sugar. Just now I showed you the deoxyribose sugar in the DNA. So this pentose sugar, when it forms compound with the nitrogenous base, then it is known as the nucleoside. How it forms this structure? A nitrogen base attached to the first carbon of the pentose sugar by the linkage N-glycosidic linkage. I will show you here. This is pentose sugar. This is the first carbon, and to this first carbon here this nitrogenous base is attached. So this compound is the nucleoside. A nitrogenous base attached to the C1, that is first carbon of pentose sugar, with the help of N-glycosidic linkage. In DNA, nucleosides are formed by the combination of deoxyribose sugar and nitrogenous base, because in RNA it is ribose sugar. So there ribose sugar and nitrogenous base will form the nucleoside, and in DNA deoxyribose sugar and nitrogenous base form the nucleoside. Now the 4 types of nucleosides are formed by the combination of adenine and the sugar, that is deoxyadenosine, guanine, then it forms deoxyguanosine, cytosine, then it forms deoxycytidine, thymine again forms the bond with deoxyribose sugar and form the compound deoxythymidine. So here you can see all these 4 nucleosides formed in the DNA. Short forms are also given: DA, DC, DG and DT. Now next we will see the next unit is the nucleotide. What is nucleotide? The compound formed by the combination of phosphate groups with nucleosides. So combination of the ribose sugar and the nitrogenous bases we have seen, that is nucleoside. Now when the phosphate group is attached with the nucleoside, then it is the nucleotide. So 4 types of nucleotides are formed in the DNA. So what are the 4 types of nucleotides? You can understand on the basis of their nitrogenous base, that is deoxyadenosine monophosphate, deoxyguanosine monophosphate, deoxycytidine monophosphate, deoxythymidine monophosphate. So 4 types of nucleotides are formed. You can see here that the attachment of the phosphate group. So one of the hydroxyl group of the phosphoric acid combines with hydroxyl group of 5th carbon of the sugar. So here sugar forms bond with the 5th carbon there with the phosphoric acid. So here hydroxyl group is eliminated out, and then here one hydroxyl group combines with the fifth carbon of the ribose sugar, and the bond it is formed, this is known as the phosphodiester bond. Understood? What is called phosphodiester bond, and the bond between the nitrogenous base and the sugar is the N-glycosidic linkage. So understood, children? The four types of nucleotides. Now we'll see here this polynucleotide strand formation of this polynucleotide chain. So the deoxyribonucleotides so formed now undergo polymerization process. Here you can see all these nucleotides, they undergo polymerization. In this process, various types of deoxyribonucleotides gets joined together with the help of phosphate bond. This which phosphate? This is phosphodiester bond to form the linear chain. So you can see here, this is the phosphodiester bond. With the help of that, a complete linear chain is formed. You can see this is one chain and this is the another chain. So in the DNA there are two such polynucleotide chains. You can understand here, this is one nucleotide, the three units phosphate, ribose sugar and nitrogenous base, phosphate, sugar and nitrogenous base. So all these nucleotides are arranged here with together and form a polynucleotide chain. And in DNA as such, there are two polynucleotide chains. So the phosphodiester bond forms between fifth and third carbon atom position of pentose sugar. Therefore, polynucleotide strand contains fifth and third end. So you see first here in the diagram, this is fifth end and it is the third end. So you see here, this is the ribose sugar. Here at the fifth carbon, phosphodiester bond, and downside at the third carbon it forms the phosphodiester bond. Means in one nucleotide it is attached with the third carbon, and with the another nucleotide it is attached with the fifth carbon. So this is the phosphodiester bond in between the two nucleotides. The same you see here. What is happening here? Here the fifth carbon of the first ribose sugar and the third carbon of the next ribose sugar, and you see here this polynucleotide, this chain is running into 5' to 3' direction, and it is also 5' to 3', but in the opposite direction. Okay, both the chains are running in the opposite direction. That is why they are known as the anti-parallel chains. Understood, children? Because polynucleotide strand has 5' and 3' reason the formation of phosphodiester bond between fifth and third carbon atom of the pentose sugar. So in this manner, this two polynucleotide chain run in the opposite manner. So we'll study now the structure of DNA or double helix structure of DNA, which is proposed by Watson and Crick. So we'll study further this model of DNA whose structure is discovered by J.D. Watson and F.H.C. Crick. First proposed the structural model in 1953, and they got the Nobel Prize for their work in 1962. According to Watson and Crick model of DNA, the DNA contains two polynucleotide strands coiled together in helical manner. Just now I showed you the parallel chains are there, but these chains are coiled together in the helical manner. So the name Watson and Crick double helix structure of DNA is given. So we'll see this structure. The 3D structure of DNA, this three-dimensional structure of DNA, first proposed by Watson and Crick, and it consists of two long helical structures. See, this is the uncoiled structure, but after coiling you can see here these are the helix formed. So two long helical strands that are coiled around a common axis to form the double helix. So we have studied already that DNA consists of two polynucleotide chains which run in opposite direction, one in 5 prime to 3 prime, while other in is the 3 prime to 5 prime. Okay, you can see here 5 prime 3 prime, and this is in the 3 prime 5 prime. So these chains are anti-parallel. Now both the chains are held together by weak hydrogen bonds which are formed between complementary nitrogenous bases. Here I want to tell you that the 4 nitrogenous bases we have studied, purine and pyrimidine. So these 4 nitrogenous bases are joined together with the help of hydrogen bond. Okay, I can show you in this diagram clearly that here you see these are the nitrogenous bases, T for thymine and A for adenine. So the bond is formed in between these two nitrogenous bases of these two polynucleotide chains. This is the hydrogen bond. So hydrogen bond is formed in between the two nitrogenous bases of these polynucleotide chains. Now here what is the type of bonding? Hydrogen bond. But due to complementary association of nitrogenous bases, because these nitrogenous bases are complementary, okay, so due to complementary association of nitrogenous bases, the amount of adenine is always equal to that of thymine. Means bond is formed in between the purine and pyrimidine. So the purine base, it forms bond with another pyrimidine, but which one? Adenine always forms bond with the thymine. Okay, so this bond is formed here in adenine and thymine, and in between the guanine and cytosine. So adenine is complementary with thymine and guanine is complementary with the cytosine. So this complementary association of the nitrogenous base is there in DNA, and the amount of adenine is always equal to the thymine and amount of guanine is always equal to the cytosine, and this is known as the Chargaff's rule. So we can understand here, due to complementary rule, here the amount of these nitrogenous bases is always equal, that is of complementary bases, thymine and adenine as well as guanine and cytosine. So understood children? This is the hydrogen bonding in between the two nitrogenous bases. Now due to formation of hydrogen bonds between two chains, the entire structure becomes twisted similar to the spiral staircase, and it is known as the double helix. You can see here that this is the double helical structure, and the length of the complete one turn of the double helix is 3.4 nm or 34 angstrom. You can see here the length of this complete one turn is there. You can see this is 34 angstrom or 3.4 nm, and there are 10 nucleotide pairs in one complete turn of the double helix. So one complete turn of the double helix has the 10 nucleotides, and the distance between two successive base pairs is 0.34 nm. Okay, or we can say it the 3.4 angstrom. So the distance between two successive base pair is the 0.34 nm or 3.4 angstrom, and the distance of helix is 2 nm. Here, sorry, the diameter. So you see here, this is the diameter. So the diameter is 20 angstrom or 2 nm. So these are the measurements here, the dimensional parameters of DNA. So understood children? I am repeating that the length of complete one turn of double helix is the 3.4 nm. There are 10 nucleotides in one complete turn of double helix. The distance between two successive base pairs is 0.34 nm. and there is an average of 25 hydrogen bonds within each complete turn of double helix, and the diameter of the helix is 2 nm or 20 angstrom. The path taken by the two backbones forms a major groove and a minor groove. So these two backbones which are forming a path, it forms two that grooves, wider and narrower. So wider groove is called as the major groove. This is major groove. This one is the major groove and this is the minor groove. So two grooves are formed by the both the backbones in the DNA. There is an average of 25 hydrogen bonds within each complete turn of double helix. Double helical structure of DNA is intimately related to its functions like replication and transcription. So this structure is suitable for these two phenomenon, replication and transcription, and the sequence of nucleotides in a DNA is highly specific as it contains the genetic information. So this is the Watson and Crick model of DNA. Understood, children? Now we will see packaging of DNA in the eukaryotes. So in eukaryotes, DNA is stabilized with positively charged basic protein called histone. As I said you that chromatin material is made up of histone and DNA. So this DNA, it is attached with the positively charged histones. Histones are positively charged due to rich in basic amino acids, lysines and arginines. Histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules. So 8 histone molecules together they combine and form the octamer. So this is the octamer, 8 histone molecules. Negatively charged DNA wrapped around positively charged histone octamer to form the structure that is known as the nucleosome. Here you can see this is the core of 8 histone molecules and this DNA is wrapped around it. So this complete structure is known as the nucleosome. These nucleosomes are seen as beads on a string structure under electron microscope. So you can see this nucleosome is seen like this under the microscope, just like the beads on string. Nucleosome forms the repeating unit of structure in nucleus and it forms the chromatin. The chromatin is packaged to form chromatin fibers. These fibers are further coiled and condensed at the metaphase stage of the during the division and to form the chromosome that you have studied in the cell division during mitosis. Now this chromatin is of two types, euchromatin and heterochromatin. Euchromatin, it is in the nucleus. Some loosely coiled regions of the chromatin, they are the light strand region of the chromatin and this is known as the euchromatin. While the dark stained chromatin which is densely packed in the nucleus, this is known as the heterochromatin. And another difference is there that euchromatin is transcriptionally active than the heterochromatin. So this is all about the packaging of DNA. So you can see the eukaryotic chromosome, this structure you have seen in the 10th class also. We have studied that how is the chromosome formed by the condensation of chromatin material. So these are the sister chromatids and in the center these sister chromatids are attached with the help of centromere and this is the kinetochore and the ends of the chromosome known as the telomeres. So you understood, children, what I have discussed today with you, that DNA is the genetic material. All these experiments related with the genetic material, DNA is the genetic material proved by the different experiments by different scientists is not in your syllabus this year, so that we did not do. And further we have studied the structure of the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, why it is genetic material, what are the different parts, the chemical structure of DNA, Watson and Crick model of DNA. We have studied packaging of the DNA also, we have studied. So you read once from your book also and ask your doubts. Here you have. And one more that thing is there, that the criteria for the genetic material. So DNA actually fulfills all these criteria which we have studied, that it should be able to generate replication. You know that the DNA is capable to form its copy through the replication, and it is chemically and structurally stable molecule, provides slow changes, that is mutation. You know the changes in the DNA takes place, this is mutation. It requires for evolution, it should be able to express itself in the form of Mendelian characters, and protein does not fulfill this criteria, hence it is not the genetic material, while RNA and DNA, they fulfill the criteria, so they are the genetic material. So now this topic is over. In the next topic we will study the structure of RNA. So you revise all these points and ask your doubts.